Welcome back to another episode of Confidence Culture Conversations. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching from. Coach Kirubai, how are you doing?
Kirubai is she didn't see you for 2 weeks, so I and probably I'm having withdrawal symptoms. Yes, we took a 2 week break, folks, and it seemed like it's so long ago. Well, there's so much happened this last 2 weeks, Elizabeth, and it's been a busy, go all the way. And this week I said, no, I need to take a break. But break never comes. You get on, you want to enjoy the sun. So it's been interesting 2 weeks. So what did you do this last 2 weeks? Then I'll tell you what I did.
The question should probably be what didn't I do?
What you didn't do is it?
Yeah, no, do you know what? The
Uh,
past 2 weeks have been busy, but busy in a good way, busy making impact,
mhm.
busy with family, and also busy speaking at events, which was really good, because it's always good to go out and spread the impact, spread the love, spread the fire. So it's been a good 2 weeks. It's been a good 2 weeks.
So how
What
was
about you?
the last event you went to on Saturday?
Saturday was good. So it was the Impact Leadership Conference,
Hmm.
hosted by Shay and his amazing wife. Um, and I'll say their family because the kids were involved, just helping out here and there as well. And it was really good. We had three keynote speakers, and we had a panel, and I was on the panel. So yeah, it was good. They do this in different cities.
Okay.
I want to say different cities across the world. Let me put it that way. So they're based in Dublin. This year they've had it in Dublin already, if I'm not mistaken, or they're going to have it in Dublin. They've got one coming up in Dallas.
Wow.
They've got another one coming up in Cork, which is in Ireland as well. So yeah, they spread their wings here and there, which is really good because then it means that if you don't attend it here, you can go and attend it here, and it's a different flavor because they have different speakers as well. But it's
Mhm.
also online, and the event is free, so it's really like it's a no-brainer. Come, learn, grow, connect. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Yeah, you must have had a great time. And you guys are coming up with an event in June.
Yes, we'll talk about that. You tell us what you've been up to, Kirubai.
Well, it last week was rather busy. Tuesday, I did a program with a college. My first time working with. Interestingly, I always say people never take notice of me in LinkedIn, and somebody actually saw me in LinkedIn and wanted to work with me. So
You're
that was
showing
how
up and shining, Coach K.
sorry,
You're showing up and shining.
yeah, showing up and shining. So got this opportunity to work with staff of this college, and it was amazing. It was, and you know what? This college, I must say, I think every quarterly, or I'm not sure, but the time span that they have, but they do personal development for their staff.
Awesome.
So they help their staff to develop in many different areas, and some of it is fun areas, and some is really deep learning. So I got, I mean, got the fun, a little bit of fun and a little bit of learning. It was good meeting some new people, not new students, all admin and teachers. It was interesting, lecturers. So that was on Tuesday. But you know what, going from morning till evening like that, it just took the mickey out of me. I think I mean it was tiring
Mm.
the whole day. when you're on your feet the whole day. So I was just thinking of my younger days where I used to do this quite regularly. So I really got to get my stamina going, man. Where you want to do uh, stuff like that. But it was good exposure, and really was very rewarding. And then
That's good.
second, of course, I had Wisewell Women's Summit, which was amazing. It was really a very big crowd, really big crowd as compared to last
That's
year.
good.
Many new people. Yeah, it was really. She had the organizers had very good attendance,
That's
and
good to hear.
me, huh? Sorry.
That's really good to hear.
Yes, really good to hear, and really pleased. We had a few people that I knew who were there, but lots of new people, and pl- place of connection, and looking forward to another program next year. So it was fun, and I mean, all glory to God, and Deepa and her team did a fantastic job putting the um, putting the program together, the volunteers, the worship. Dr. Olivia was there.
I saw your pictures. Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Olivia, and she just saw it on Instagram. See, another connection through social media. And
Hmm.
she was there. It was good to see her, and Kumbi, the jewelry woman. So few people that I knew, but most of them I don't know. So it was good to connect with some new people.
That's
Met some
good.
people from One Rock, the alumni from One Rock. They recognized me. I couldn't recognize them.
Oh,
You must be
wow.
Kirubai. I said, hmm. I said, the name rings a bell. But you know what? Finally, because most of them who came on One Rock, they kind of didn't come. They came, but they didn't show their face. They didn't show up. So you don't know who's on the other side. So, but you know what? So it's always good to be on, when you're on Zoom or what, to show your face, then you recognize each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's where you know show up and shine challenge comes handy. Elizabeth, would you like to share about show up and shine um, challenge?
Absolutely. So, for those that are wondering, what is this challenge all about? So, it's a challenge that I run predominantly for Christian women. And that is really to challenge you to show up and shine consistently on social media. Now, we complain a lot that there's so much on social media, and a lot of it can be negative stuff. And we find that there's a lot of young people who consume a lot of social media. In fact, not just young people, adults too. They're sitting and scrolling through videos. But the reality of it, there is anything and everything on social media. So the challenge is there really to encourage Christian women to show up and shine their light, show up, bring a message of hope, show up with whatever God has given you, show up with it and spread it onto social media, because there's like over 4 billion people on social media. So you can get a message across. So if we're going to keep complaining, it's not going to bring change. The best way to bring change is be the change you want to see. So show up on social media. Anyway, if you want more information, reach out to me and I will invite you into our Facebook group where we have a community of women who encourage, challenge, inspire, provoke each other to show up and shine consistently. So, yeah. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm scared, I have no confidence to show up, don't worry. I will hold your hand until you show up confidently. So, it's all good.
And definitely Elizabeth can. She provokes you to come forth and be that person of be a star in your social media. And it's good. Social media can be really a bad influence, but you can turn that around
Mm,
to be impactful and to show up and let your message be known to the world to see
there you
what you
go.
carry.
There you go.
So, yeah. So, Elizabeth, today we come to going back to our subject matter, we're coming to a close of our book that we have been doing this last couple of weeks, becoming a person of influence. So,
Mm.
Elizabeth, can I do a recap?
Yes, please go ahead. It's been 2 weeks.
Yes, yes, been, yeah. So, this book talks about how you can be a person of influence. And this book is written by none other than John C. Maxwell, and his sidekick on this book is Jim Dornan. So it's a great book to read. And don't know, you can see it. It's a great book by John C. Maxwell. And Elizabeth and I are both being trained by John C. Maxwell, and we are part of the team. And we are very excited, always excited to do one of his books. And we have been doing this for the past 6 weeks, and we come to a close. The last two influences that we are going to speak about. But before I speak about that, I'm going to just go through the first 1 to 8 matters with regards to the influences. So a person of influence has integrity with people. So
Mm,
integrity is an integral part of being influential. A person of influence nurtures other people. That means you grow someone else, pour your life into someone else. A person of influence has faith in people. Yeah, if we want to work and influence someone else, we need to have faith with them, faith
mm,
on them. Person of influences listens to people. So you have to be a good listener, listening to problems and helping them problem solve. Are you a problem solver or a problem creator? So, point number 5 is a person of influence understands people. It's not about you, it's about understanding someone else in this scenario of being an influential person. A
mm,
person of influence enlarges people. So how do you provoke and motivate someone to expand their territories and boundaries? Elizabeth is very good at that, provoking people. A person of influence navigates for other people. So you're basically a navigator, signposting and showing someone else, uh, maybe just giving your advice or your little bit of your impartation, how to guide someone else's life. A person of influence connects with people. You must be a great connector to influence someone else. And you might be an introvert, you might be an extrovert, or you might be an ambivert. But whatever posture that you take yourself, you can still influence someone else. And
mm.
a lot of introverts say that, oh, they cannot influence someone else, but you can influence one on one. So we are going to point 9 and 10 today. A person of influence empowers people,
Mm.
and a person of influences rep- reproduce other influences. So today we're going to talk about how do we empower others. So, Elizabeth, do you have thoughts about how do you empower others as a
Hmm.
person of
That's a
influence?
that's a loaded question.
A loaded question, yes.
It is, and you know what? I guess it depends on what it is we're empowering them in. Um, I think empowering involves giving someone responsibility. So
Mm,
you're not spoon feeding them, but you are showing them how to make the food, how to get the food. So it's not here, eat, 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 but actually,
I like that.
here is where the food is. You can look in this direction, or you can go and find this here. So it's it's kind of like helping somebody to see the tools that they have, because sometimes we don't see the tools that we have, or we don't recognize that we have a voice. And someone saying the right things can empower us or can encourage us even to help us to know that actually, hang on a minute, I have a voice and I can speak and I can be heard. So I would say it's not necessarily telling someone this is what you need to go away and do, but it's provoking them to get up and go and do. It's not, I'm going to spoon feed you, but it's, this is how you can make the food. This is how you can prepare the meal. And empowering also could be, I show you how it's done and then I leave you to do it.
Mm.
But I'm not going to micromanage you.
I like that. Yes.
That doesn't empower.
Yeah, that is truly in a state of empowerment, because when we empower or delegate, we give them all the power to do as they please, but we stay in the background
Mm,
and just guide them. So you can't empower someone you don't lead. So this leading is actually basically you're at the back on the side, just giving them a little bit of guidance, and not control. Please listen, please get this word in your system. No control. Empowerment doesn't mean you need to control the other person.
mm,
Because sometimes in this journey of empowerment, they might be making mistakes. So that mistakes, when you are there, you're there to help, you guide them through the mistake, or pick them up when it could be a very drastic or devastating mistake. But you know what? To give, or as Elizabeth says, show up and shining is about hand holding. So empowerment is also about hand holding, right, Elizabeth?
yeah, yeah. It's. I'm going to hold your hand, but I'm not going to do it for you.
So it's not giving the fish, but teaching them how to fish.
There you go.
There you go. So, so if when you are in a position of empowerment, you tend to take take a back seat. This so having a back seat, but not completely uh, losing reins, but being there. So when this kind of empowerment, you need to have a good, solid relationship with that person, right?
Mm.
You can't you can't speak into someone if you can't have a relationship with them. Is it true to say that? So relationship matters in this whole scenario.
Relationship helps because this is why they say that, if I trust you, I can buy from you. If I trust you, I can learn from you.
Mhm.
But if I despise you or if I don't value you, it's highly unlikely that anything you say is going to empower me.
So so how do we build a relationship? Is it similar to a mentor-mentee relationship?
It depends. It depends. Do you know what? There's one of Mike Murdoch's books where he talks about when people come into your life, it's important for you to just ask yourself the question or even ask God the question, why is this person in my life? Because it's important for you to understand the level of relationship you're going to have with someone. I can't force myself to be a mentor to you, because if we're going to have a mentor mentee relationship, then we both need to have that understanding, and we both need to understand what our expectations are of each other. Likewise, if for example it's a coach and a coachee, it's, we have that understanding. Sometimes, because you're in a position of leadership, say in an organization, or I've done a lot of maybe leadership roles within church, and one of the things you do is, the roles are not necessarily defined, but I've taken young people under my wings, and I've indirectly mentored them, and that's been showing, leading them by example, showing them how to do, and then leaving them to do. So so the idea of relationship is so important, because relationship encourages trust. And if you can't trust a leader, well, guess what? You're not going to follow. If you do follow, it will be like you're forced to follow. Like, I'm here because I'm getting paid. I'm not here because I trust you. I'm here just for my paycheck at the end of the day. You know. So trust encourages. I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and he said he's had opportunities to leave where he is to go and work somewhere else, but he doesn't want to, because he loves the leader where he currently is. Like, there's a good relationship with his leader. He said, I don't
Yeah.
want to risk going somewhere else. And that touched me, because it shows that somebody can stay because of how you have empowered them. They might have other opportunities, but because of the level of relationship and the way they're growing as a result of sitting under your leadership, it's empowering them. And so they will stay. So the relationship is important in any, we're talking about influence, right? Becoming a person of influence. So if you're going to have influence, build relationship.
Mm-hmm. And I think, following on to this point, building in that relationship, you need to respect each other. Respect is so important in a relationship that you're building. And and we come from I come from an Asian culture where we give utmost respect to our elders. But here, a respect on the same level. It's a little different, but respect is also respect, in that way. So, um, respect is so, because when we do not respect each other, then there is contempt.
Mm,
Respect is so important in a relationship. And what more so if you want to influence one another? Because as you respect one another, you are sharing your influence, and the other person is also sharing their influence.
mm,
Maybe there is a point where their friends can be your friends, and your friends can be their friends. So there is an exchange that goes on in this respect. And one of the things that I discovered in the summit on last Saturday was there was uh, talk and encouragement in the area of mentor mentee
mm,
in the workplace. And I was just reflecting, the place that I came from when I was working in corporate. There was no such thing. It was just they give you a task and you say you do it, you find your way, you just do it, and there's no one you can talk to. But these days, corporations and organizations have this mentor mentee system or place where they help each other, building one another. You take someone under your wings and guide them. I think that's so lovely. And it also builds you up to take a next step in your career, the career ladder. I never experienced it, Elizabeth. Did you ever experience that in your corporate job?
I would say I did. I would say I did. I think the benefit of it is that it can help with staff retention. It can help to keep people within the organization. You know, because they they know that someone is kind of, I want to say looking out for them, but someone is kind of just giving them some sort of guidance, and especially for people who are driven. I think there's some people who kind of just get complacent and get comfortable where they are and they don't really want to shift. And so people like that tend not to make the most of the mentor-mentee relationship. But people who want to go somewhere, or people who are driven, you know, it will make a difference, because the benefit of having a mentor is that you don't have to make the mistakes they made.
Mhm.
So
Yes,
they
I
can
like that.
they can help you in getting somewhere quicker than they did, you know. And I think that's one of the beauties of it. Like, you don't have to go it alone, because anything that we do, yes, it might feel like it's something new, but there's someone who's been on that sort of similar path before, and it might not be the exact thing that they have achieved, but maybe they've taken a path that looks almost similar, you know. So being able to connect with people like that can help you to get ahead. It can help you to ask the questions when you want to ask questions. It's an
Mm.
opportunity to say, this, I'm struggling here, like, how do I get started, you know. So in fact, I think I would encourage anyone who is at any stage, or particularly a new beginning stage, is find someone who seems to be where you want to be,
Mhm.
or someone who's done the thing that you're trying to do. So if you're trying to start a business, find somebody who is running a business, and find ways to sit under their, you know, their training. And it might not be that you know, it's not everyone you go to, but it's particular people. And obviously you have to see something that you can learn from there, something of benefit in what they're doing. One of the things I also used to tell people who are in relationships and they're looking to get married is have conversations with married people. Don't go into marriage blindly. So there's a couple who don't mind, you know, you learning from them. Go over to theirs for dinner. Have conversations. See, you know, get a little bit of a perspective into marriage. You don't have to be blind as you go into it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can learn so much from a couple who have gone through marriage, the difficult parts in their lives, that you will not make that mistake again.
Mm,
And those who, like what Elizabeth says, those who are going to considering marriage, I think it's go look up a couple who's got a solid marriage and get them to mentor you guys. And I like the book, um, Mary and her husband brought, what's it? What prove your marriage? Sorry, it's
I
a,
don't know the title, but I know the book
yeah,
you're
I saw
referring
it
to.
and I thought, oh, interesting.
Mm,
Um, s- uh, s- let's get the name right. So yeah, it's one of those. I think it was very interesting. Mary Inoli and her husband it just came out with this book called okay, right. Don't know how to get into that post. Sorry. Yeah. 30 ways to divorce prove your book, your marriage,
you're
sorry, your
married.
book. Yeah. 30 ways to divorce prove your marriage. I think that's an amazing title. So yeah, it caught me, that divorce proof, yes, because divorce is on such a rise these days.
Mm,
Mm. Talking about divorce, let's go to the next point. When you empower each other, there has to be a commitment. It's like a marriage. Commitment. Commitment is so important in a mentor-mentee relationship. If you have an appointed time, you said that you will meet for half an hour. As a mentor, I know mentors can be a bit busy, so you need to give the time to your mentees and say, okay, pin them down this time around. You need to spend that half an hour or 45 minutes or 1 hour with your mentees to be the positive influence in their lives. So take your job seriously because it
No, that's
reflects on the mentors, actually. Do you think so, Elizabeth?
yes, it does. But commitment is a powerful word.
I think all aspects of our lives, we need commitment.
Mm.
When we lack commitment, we get derailed. We lose balance and alignment. So, anything else before we move on to the next point, the final point?
No, we can move on to the final point.
Okay. Person of influence reproduces other influences. I like that. I really like that because you're creating another person, someone similar to you, but not really you.
Mm.
Because when you pour your life into someone, they kind of take all the goodness from you. You pass the goodness and keep away all the bad characters and natures out of your life. But you know what? It's time to produce. That means
Mm.
making disciples, really, right? To be to be the influencer God has called you to be. So time for multiplication, the power of multiplication. I think there's another book, John C. Maxwell speaks about multiplication.
It does.
Yeah, I think the 15 laws of invaluable laws of growth. I think he speaks about multiplication and multiplying. When you multiply Elizabeth, you multiply Kirubai. There are so many people that we can impact.
Mm.
But of course, being in your own space, being the person of value that what God has called you to be, and not emulating us, but you know what? There is a way we can guide people into this multiplication. So when you raise leaders, your level of influence increases.
Mm.
Level of influence increases. And how can we increase our level of influence? There's one point that's it's really striking me is when we are influencing someone, um, and there are people watching. People are always watching when you're role modeling. People always watch, and then there is a space for others to say, I want to be like that person.
Mm.
So that there is a space for multiplication to take place. So one touching life, the other touching another life, and then the chain goes on, the reaction keeps going. And I love that because people are silently watching you.
Yeah.
And that's a very dangerous place because you can be very positive or you can be very negative.
Mm. No, the power of multiplication. And like you just ended with, you can be positive, you can be negative, and just imagine if you multiply the negative.
Oh yeah.
If you multiply the negative, we just have we have a situation. We have a real situation. So it's important for us to sow the seeds that are going to multiply and grow and be something beautiful, something impactful, something life changing, something transformational. um I like the idea of multiplication, because like you say, you're pouring into others. And um you mentioned you're pouring all your goodness. I would like to think you remain with some goodness too. But I think when we talk about like becoming a person of influence and just being in a position of leadership, oftentimes you're not leading just the one person. Oftentimes you're leading more than one person, and so the the demand on you is to pour into more than one person, and sometimes you might pour into one more than the other. It might be that it's for this season, this is the one. And as we're talking, so over the past 2 weeks, one of the things that happened was Easter, isn't it? And it,
Mhm.
it just makes me reflect, when we talk about multiplication, makes me reflect on Jesus and his disciples. He had the inner circle, and he had the not so inner circle, but yes, the circle. So
Out.
when we are leading people or mentoring people or influencing people, there'll be people that will be like the inner circle. There'll be people that you will share the the real vulnerable moments with. And then there'll be some people that you will share some vulnerability, but not to the entirety, not to the full depth. And one of the things that happened this weekend, which I haven't yet watched, but social media is talking about it, was Bishop T.D. Jakes handing over to his
Yeah,
daughter
I saw that.
Sarah and her
Mm.
husband. And I haven't yet watched the clip, but I've seen a lot of posts about it. Um,
Mhm, mhm.
you know, and it's you look at like mentorship, you look at raising a leader, because imagine if there was no one for him to hand over to. Imagine he had people around him, but there was no one to hand over to. That can be a real issue. So, for every leader, like one of the things you have to be doing as a leader is raising the next leader.
Mhm, mhm.
That's
The next
that's your
generation.
that's your mandate. Like who's gonna take over me if I'm leading here today? If something happened to me, who's next? Who's gonna step in? And that's something that we all need to consider. Yes, we don't consider it, but we all need to consider, because you know yes, imagine something happened. What do you do? Who steps
That's
in?
the reality of life. Yeah.
So when we're talking about influencing others and we're talking about empowering, we're talking about multiplication. Like, multiply so that you can be away and there'll still be people covering you. We don't want the situation where you've gone and then they're like, oh, but there's a gap. Like, we can't, we yeah, we can't. And I look back sometimes, and one of my things is I love to serve. And sometimes I will throw myself fully into something. And I remember speaking to um, um, my previous pastor, and one of the issues he had with me leaving was Elizabeth does a lot of things.
Mhm.
Elizabeth is she's one person that can do so many different things. And so when Elizabeth lives, we have a situation where we can't have one person doing all these things, because Elizabeth does a lot of things. So we need part and part and part and part. So sometimes that's the thing, as a leader, when you're multiplying, you might need to pour into this one this responsibility, into this one this responsibility, into that one that responsibility, but then still embed it in them to come together. So you're still a unit, but you're functioning in this realm, you're functioning in that realm, you're functioning in that. And so it's, as leaders, like, we need to constantly think, even in a home, when you're leading in the home, empowering your kids, because imagine something happened to you. What are your kids going to do?
Wow. That's a very potent question, Elizabeth.
It's because it's not just about working in an organization, or in a team. It's we can talk about being at home. I remember a few years ago when I used to work in the bank, when I initially started working in the bank, and I was taking calls from customers who had savings accounts with us. And I remember one time this elderly lady called. Now, one of the first things we used to ask when they call is some numbers from their 6-digit security PIN number. So for me to access your account, I'm going to need some numbers. And then I'm going to have to go through some security with you to make sure, that you are who you say you are, for us to access the account or to discuss it. And I remember one time this elderly lady came on and she was crying. She said, I lost my husband. He used to deal with all the finances. I don't know
Mm,
what to do. And I felt for her. I felt it for her. And I thought to myself, oh dear, where do we start here? Because if she doesn't have the 6-digit security PIN number, I can't help her. So she needs to find that first of all. So we had conversations and I was able to help her eventually. But we kind of just had to show the empathy and just get her to a place of calmness so she could find what she needed. And then I was able to talk her through what she needed to do. So it's important for us to know, like, even in the home, like, what's my remit, what are my responsibilities. But even if these are my responsibilities, the responsibilities that this other person in the home is covering, like, what are they doing? Don't be blind to it. Don't be blind to the point that when they're not there, you don't know what to do. And one of the things I love about my home or my marriage, is that mommy can be away and daddy and Janaya are fine. Daddy is not calling me to say, where's this, where's that. We function. And that's really good, because you have some homes where only mommy knows where this is, or only daddy knows where this is. So we have a problem when, one of them is away. So part of being a person of influence, part of multiplying yourself, means that you are pressing on the relevant information to the people that you have influence over. You are giving them, like, this is it. Like, this is it. Take hold. Yes, I'm still holding it, but you start to hold it, because one day you will be the one holding it and I won't be holding it anymore. But we have to be able to multiply.
I can't say that of my household. I have
You've
to be
got what your
very
work cut
honest.
out.
Sorry.
You've got your work cut out.
Oh yes, hands are full. But little slowly but surely, giving giving the person the letter of attorney to do what they need to do. And I like that point, because in most families, one person holds the fort, and it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. As a
Mm,
family, we all need to have that distributed responsibility and know where the next, let's say next of kin comes along.
mm,
Mm. So it's a very sobering thought. But you know what? That's called multiplication. You're influencing someone else to take on some of the roles. So another point that we can discuss here is, when we raise leaders, we are actually multiplying resources.
mm-hmm,
So resources can be knowledge, can be finance, can be property, can be anything. But you know what? When we multiply in terms of organization, when we make a lot of people that influences like us, there is a connection that goes on, and I just was thinking about this group. Maybe I shouldn't mention it. Okay, I'll just keep my mouth shut. Okay, but let's not go there because I don't think it's not very nice to speak about it. But you know what? Sometimes when we multiply people of professionals, then you can in-keep your all your services, within that group, a very elite group, you can call it. Like for instance, networking groups. I mean, if you let's say if you need a person who's professional accountant, a forensic accountant, then you in-keep your knowledge, your intelligent, what they call it, intellectual properties. You keep it within the group, and that actually helps. Really helps.
Mm,
Mm. Like if I need a doctor, there's someone in the group I can go to. If I need a orthopedic surgeon, there's someone within the group. If I need someone, it's like how our coaches, we have our networking groups. If I need someone to build my website, I go to someone that's within the group instead of getting someone outside,
mm,
because we trust that they will be honest, they will have integrity, and they will be authentic to give what we need.
mm.
So that's some similar way of multiplying resources. So, I mean, I love the idea of multiplying myself. I mean, boils down to that. So, good leadership enables the next level of leaders to rise up. We are empowering them to rise up and to take their rightful place in an organization, in a church, like how you spoke about how uh, Pastor T.D. Jakes gave his reins to his daughter.
Mm,
He passing the baton to the daughter. And it's all about multiplying, it's all about passing the baton.
mm,
And if we don't, then we are the ones who lose out, because knowledge dies within ourselves. Because there's so much God has packed within us, and it's time to give out and multiply.
yeah, you're right. And I'm just, I'm just, I'm just here sitting and reflecting on some of our political leaders.
Oh, yes.
Because when you're in leadership, you're raising the next leader. Never get to a stage where you don't want to leave that position of leadership.
Hmm.
Because if you're a good leader, you should raise a leader who takes over you. Like you should trust your influence over that person, that you have equipped them, empowered them, and
Hmm.
raised them up to such a point that they are now ready. So, in other words, I can step out of the way because you're ready now.
Hmm.
And good leadership knows when it's time to step out of the way because
Hmm.
you're ready. But what bad leadership will do, bad leadership will stay at the top and never want to hand over. But if we're talking about multiplication, if we're talking about, well and truly becoming a person of influence, and your life depicting that, then you're raising leaders and you hand over to those leaders because you're empowering them.
And that's a good sign of leadership, because you can never be a prima donna in an organization. And I think a lot of churches, we need to learn that. I'm sorry to say, because they like to hog the top position. Hog, 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 hog. Very, very common in Asia. I don't know how it's in with the African nations, but in Asia it's very common. They want to hold the reins till they drop dead, which is wrong. So let's not be that kind of leaders. Let's multiply ourselves and pass on the knowledge and pass on our expertise and pass on and be a blessing to many.
Mm. Absolutely. I think one of the issues some of our leaders have is greed. And that Hi Tasha, thank you for joining us. Um, some of the issues our leaders have is greed, and greed makes them want to stay in that position, makes them want to hold on to the leadership reins. But one of the things that I always ask myself is, who are you leading and where are you leading them to? And what are you leading them into? Because life has seasons. There are seasons in life. And there's a season where you're in your nighttime season. Let's be real. There's a season like that. And there's some things that you should just hand over when you are in your nighttime season, because you shouldn't be doing them. And I think some of our leaders, be it in organizations, be it in churches, be it in nations, are not ready to hand over. And so I come from Uganda, right? I didn't want to go here, but I'm going to go here. I'm originally from Uganda, and I'm going to show my age. I was born in 1985. Now, Uganda is supposedly a democratic country. But since I was born, we have had the same president. I am going to be 40 this year. Now, for me, that says a lot about leadership. And maybe I'll keep my comments to myself, but I'm sure you can read between the lines. A lot of times when we look at, for example, presidents of nations, and we tend to see that a lot of them tend to be over a certain age, and it begs the question, like, where are you leading the people into? I know we like to say that old age is a sign of wisdom, but not every old person is wise. That's the reality. Not every aged person is wise. Some people are still learning in their old age. So we need to be conscious of that. And when you think about, if you are leading an organization, a nation, a church, whatever, which is multi-generational, then you need to be open to having other generations that are taking on responsibility. You cannot be of an older generation. Sorry, I'm going there. You cannot be of. I've been rubbed. It's starring. You cannot be of an older generation, right? And you're leading young people all by yourself. You need to bring in some young people into the leadership, because young people understand young people. So let's get this right for anyone who is leading a church, leading an organization, leading a nation. If you're watching this, welcome to Confidence Culture Conversations, right? But no, well and truly, one of the things that we need to be conscious of is, who are the people I am leading? Because what you will find is, oftentimes the people you are leading are becoming like you.
Inevitably.
Or the people who you were is drawing in certain people. So those are things that we need to be conscious of, especially when it comes to leading in church. Church leadership is a reflection of the church. The leadership of an organization is a reflection of that organization. The culture starts from the leaders. Like John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, right? And
Mhm.
it starts and it rises and it falls on leadership.
Leadership.
So, like, leaders are responsible for the culture in a nation, in an organization, in a church, in a charity, whatever it is. Now, we've talked a lot. If you've missed the past couple of episodes, please go listen. Or go, even better, go buy the book,
Mm.
Becoming a Person of Influence. It will help you to become a better leader, because as leaders, we empower. There was something Kirubai said earlier on about respect. And I think that is so key, because sometimes our cultures spell respect or define respect in a different manner, to the point that we do not respect certain people in leadership because our culture says we do not respect these people, or because our culture says I demand respect. But is your behavior respectable? And are you respecting the people that you are leading? Because if you're not respecting the people you're leading, well, hang on a minute. Where are you leading them to? Do you think they're still going to be following you? They're going to leave if they have a choice. If they have an option, they're going to go. They're going to head out. So there are things that you have to be conscious of when you are in leadership. There are things you have to be conscious of. And ultimately, the first person you lead is yourself. So if you can't lead yourself, don't try to take on people that you want to lead. First, start by leading yourself. Because if the idea of multiplication, right? Multiplication. Kirubai, we said earlier on, or you mentioned negative and positive. Now imagine a leader who has so many negative issues, so many red flags, and imagine the multiplication of that and the effect that that's going to have on the people they are leading. Because leaders are influencing, leaders are pouring in to others. I think I'm going to stop here because yeah, one of the things I love to talk about is leadership, but particularly if we're talking about like bad leadership, I like to go in on it. So I could go on, but I'm gonna press pause. Kirubai, over to you.
It's a vast subject, Elizabeth, but it's because of, let me say this, because we have such poor leadership globally. The world is in a mess. East, west, everywhere. It's all like what Sasha says. Tasha, sorry. It's about ego
Mm,
and greed, what they can
mm,
get for themselves. Nobody is for the people. And leadership is for the benefit of the people. So let's not be a person full of ego, greed, and pride and arrogance. If you truly want to be a good leader, look at the master who has been and is always will be a good leader, a good shepherd who's leading us now.
mm.
We are women of faith, and Jesus is the one who's leading us, the good shepherd leading his sheep. So let's emulate his example
Mm.
to become that influential leader, and let's make this world a better place.
So I was just thinking about servant leadership, and you mentioned Jesus. And that's the example he shows us. He shows us the example of servant leadership. And I think for me, one of the things that I've always known is that leadership is about service. Leadership is about serving others. How can I best serve you? That's what a leader is supposed to be doing. How can I best serve you? How can I best empower you? How can I best help you to be the best version of yourself? That's what a leader does. Sometimes in leadership, or when we look at servant leadership, some people think servant leadership is a weak model
No, it's not.
because they think the leader is being weak. But they're setting an example of serving. And yes, some cultures might not be the cultures that encourage servant leadership. But just because you are from a certain culture, it doesn't mean that everything in the culture is good, right? It might clash. Particularly like for us as people of faith, there's some things in our culture that might clash with the kingdom culture, with the culture of the kingdom. And so what's the priority? My human culture or the culture of the kingdom? It's up to the individual, right? You make a decision what culture outweighs the other. So we're going to end here. I want to address this a little bit. Yes, the world is in chaos, but we're people of faith, right? So we have hope. We have hope that in the midst of the chaos, that God is raising up people who will clean up the chaos, people
Mhm.
who will overtake the chaos. We have faith and we stand in the gap. We intercede for the nations of the world. And we watch God move. We watch God do his thing, because I kid you not, there is a revival going on. And we need to end this because now I'm going into something else. But it's been a joy and a pleasure just diving into becoming a person of influence. Go catch up on the episodes. They're on my YouTube, Kirubai's YouTube. They're on Facebook. They're on LinkedIn. You can get them on there. Just go and dive into them. Send it to someone. Let them listen in. Like, become a better leader. Grow yourself to be a better leader. And if you want to dive deeper into this, if you want some coaching, if you want to sign up for a mastermind, speak to Coach Kirubai, speak to myself, reach out to us. Don't suffer in silence. If you are heading up an organization and you need someone to come and talk about this to your leaders, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to come and run something for your organization. We'll be more than happy to do that. So reach out to us. Don't be shy. Just reach out to us. We would love to help you. But thank you so much for joining us over the past couple of weeks. It has been a pleasure, and yeah, we'll see what we're bringing next, right?
Yes.
Kirubai, any last words?
No. See you all next week, guys. See you all next week, and thank you for always being there and listening to us. But you know what? As we speak and you guys listen, there is connection going on here, and it's all about confidence, culture, conversations. Signing off today.
God bless you.